Welcome to the Hollywood Outsider, an award-winning weekly entertainment podcast. In this episode, it's all rawr all the time. We're talking about heading back into the gates of Jurassic Park? No, World? Why? For a rebirth. That's why. So let's get on with the show. Rawr. My name is Aaron Peterson. Joining me today is my fellow Troy Heinrichs.
President Dinosaur Extraordinaire.
Yes, you are. That's just one big pile of shit. What do you... It's just you and I for this. We're only talking Jurassic World Rebirth. I guess the first thing I want to ask you, are you mad that they didn't just call it Jurassic Park Rebirth?
I agree. I actually don't think they should call it Rebirth. I felt like it should be like Jurassic Park Return or something.
I like that better.
Because there was no rebirth. There was nothing that was born.
Yeah, they were already born a while ago.
Yeah. Like if anything, they could call it pre-birth or something.
Okay, well, now
based on one of the things that happens in the movie.
That's gross. I don't know. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about some spoiler-free stuff for a while as we review it basically over the top. And then we're going to get into some spoilers. So you'll get a gist of what we think of the movie before we get into the spoilers. So that way, if you haven't seen the movie, you won't be ruined. If you're coming here to see, like, should I see it? Well, we'll tell you that here in a minute. And then we're going to talk
and we'll tell you
some other things. Oh,
we will tell you.
Yeah, I got thoughts, man.
Got some thoughts.
Got some thoughts. Here's one. Write better dialogue. That's one. I'll start there. But anyway, let's start into it. So this Jurassic World Rebirth, right? Were you excited going into this one? Now, we get to see a sneak screening, which is why you are getting this on the day of release of the movie. But were you excited for this one? I mean, we just had 2 trilogies wrapped up. Now we're starting, they say it's one movie, but it's the beginning of a trilogy. You've got Gareth Edwards, who famously did Godzilla and Rogue One, or at least part of Rogue One, because I think they reshot with Tony Gilroy, right? So, where did you land on this? Were you excited walking into it or no?
Anytime you see Jurassic come up on the screen, you're just like, yeah, I'm in. Don't have to question. It's like Fast and the Furious. It's like, yeah, it's another one. I'm in. So from that perspective,
and he wrote David Koepp wrote the first one, or the first Jurassic Park too. So you got him back too.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, for me, I was like, 1, Jurassic, I'm in. 2, Scarlett Johansson, I'm in. 3, Mahershala Ali, I'm in. So this has got to be good. Gareth Edwards, I'm in. So there was no reason why not to see it.
You were excited.
Yeah.
Okay. You had no hesitation going in like, oh, here we go again. I've had so many people say, well, wait, we need to go back to the Jurassic. I don't know. Why do we need to go back to every franchise in the world? Because people like whatever it is about that franchise. I like dinosaurs. Don't you? You like dinosaurs, right?
I absolutely love dinosaurs.
Who doesn't love dinosaurs?
I actually have the dinosaur fossil Tyrannosaurus Rex from Lego. That's part of the Jurassic Park collection line from them for my Father's Day gift. So
how many pieces are we talking? What are we talking? Is it a real Lego set?
3,145 pieces. It stands 18 inches high and 3 feet long.
Dear God, man, that's like a real T-Rex.
I know. But now I have my own little tiny Lego Chris Pratt, and it's amazing.
Hey, I heard this, just a rumor. If you see a T-Rex drinking from a waterway, just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. No reason to hang out. For no reason in particular. I'm just mentioning it,
It's enjoying his time on the beach. You don't need to walk up to him and have a conversation or ask him to build sandcastles. Just, hey, that's cool, man.
Clear the
walk
area.
On by.
Clear the area. Clear the area. All right, so here we go. This is about Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali. They're mercenaries who accompany scientist Jonathan Bailey as they hunt down dino DNA for the purpose of saving lives. So what they have to do, they're basically paid for by a pharmaceutical company led by Rupert Friend as Martin Krebs. And he hires Scarlett Johansson's Zora, Jonathan Bailey's Dr. Loomis, and Mahershala Ali's Duncan Kincaid to go out there and get them some samples. They have to have some dino DNA so that they can create a drug that's going to help a large portion of the world. Now, there's some disparaging and debatable ideas here about, is this for the top 1% of people suffering from certain ailments, or is this for the world as a whole? There's a lot of that discussion, but overall, that's what we're doing. They're trying to get to 3 specific dinosaurs so they can get their DNA so that they can make this drug and make a mint. We're talking, quote unquote, trillions, not just billions, trillions of dollars. So, of course, the pharmaceutical company trying to get rich. What do you think of the plot?
They have to get the DNA specifically from a Paul Revere of sorts of dinosaurs, 1 by land, 2 by sea. And if Paul Revere could fly, he probably would have done 3 by air.
That's funny. Yeah, that's funny.
But yes, 1 land, 1 sea, 1 air. Get all 3 of those, and you can make some miracle toxins.
Miracle toxins. That's right. We'll call it the Jurassic MacGuffin. But it does. The collection method actually has a pretty cool element. So if you shoot it like a harpoon gun, right? There's actually one of the scenes is very reminiscent of Jaws. Speaking of the 50th anniversary episode we did not too long ago, very reminiscent of Jaws. But as you try to basically shoot this dart essentially to collect the DNA, it will then expunge and then parachute back down. So basically, it will make sure to retrieve the sample safely. It's a cool little concept. Stupid.
Shoot a needle.
But cool.
Shoot a needle. Suck out the blood. Launch like a bottle rocket. Land with a parachute.
You said it much better than I did. Yeah, that. So overall,
I speak for the commoner, Aaron. That's what it is.
The commoners. For the people this medicine might not be for, right?
Might not be for them. Not at all.
Might not be. So what are your spoiler-free, quick review thoughts? We're going to get into some spoilers in a little bit. So what are your spoiler-free thoughts?
Action is stellar. There's some really great set pieces. There's some really great surprise moments that I actually was like sitting there in the chair in the movie theater, and then a dinosaur would like snap the teeth, and I'd actually pull my feet up from the floor because I was like, "Ooh,
you would?"
Like the dinosaur's going to get. I did,
yeah,
like numerous times. So from that perspective, thoroughly engaged in the action. The peopling part was a little bit like, do we need that scene here? Like, what are we trying to do with this? So there's some slow moments along the way. And then I don't think the bad guy is really all that bad to say. So like all in all, it is exactly what a July 4th opener weekend movie should be. It is sit back, take your mind, throw it at the gutter, grab some popcorn, enjoy the action stuff because it's freaking great. And when you leave, you'll have a smile on your face.
There you go. That's, I think, very astute. It is, when you think of the cast, I think everybody does their job very well. Everybody shines. I think Jonathan Bailey and Mahershala Ali and Scarlett Johansson, they're kind of the best, obviously. That's why you've got those names right there. I think the action from the dinosaurs is very tense. There's a lot of really cool set pieces. There's an homage to Jaws. I think there's definitely nods to Jurassic Park and World throughout these movies. There's a lot of love for the other films. And I would actually, and the thing I think that probably bugged me most outside of the terrible dialogue, there is some terrible dialogue. The screenwriting from David Koepp is not as good as it was in Jurassic Park. I think that, I think you alluded to it. Whenever we're in People Land, it gets a little too people-y because they're trying to have these big dramatic moments that just do not land, nor do we care because we're waiting to see dinosaurs. And that's the one thing I think the first Jurassic Park has done better than any of the other films that have come after him, is they made us in that one care about everybody that was in the movie, not just who's going to eat who's getting eaten, who's going to make it out of here. You know, it wasn't like that. And I think that that was lacking here as well. There's one specific scene where they were trying to tell their personal stories that really was terrible near the beginning.
Yeah, and I don't think that's needed in this because at the end of the day, I think this movie does a really great job of getting back more into that Michael Crichton horror element. Mm-hmm. And because even though it's got a PG-13 rating, but it's got that kind of horror, I don't know what's going to happen. Like there's enough suspension of disbelief in this movie to go like, are they going to get eaten in this scene? Are they going to escape? I'm just waiting on the edge of my seat for it. So that was cool. And then that kind of gets ruined in these people moments where it's like, I don't care if your friend died. No offense.
Yeah. And there's a lot of not caring about people dying going on. People are trying to care, but they don't quite care. They just care enough. But the effects are phenomenal.
The effects are great, except for one. There was one specific scene where you're like, "Oh my god, that green screen is so bad."
Wait and tell me when we get in the spoilers. We'll talk about it in a second.
But overall, there's one.
There are several set pieces. There is one in a bird's nest. That's all I'm going to say about it. But man, it is tense as hell. It's very well done. Might be one of my favorite actual set pieces from the entire franchise, and that's several movies, right? So that's pretty. And whatever the cartoon was that I never saw, does that count?
I don't know.
I don't know either. So when you have the cast, and we have Scarlett Johansson. Anything from her particularly stand out? Basically, she's a trapper. She's the guy with the cool hat from Jurassic Park that gets eaten by the Velociraptor. Clever girl.
Her character her character is a little bit interesting for me because I felt like she's super badass and fun to watch, but her dialogue was so like, what are you saying right now sometimes?
Yeah.
So it's not that it was like Scarlett's fault, it was the writing's fault.
She did everything she could though. She really was like, she was injecting personality in some bad dialogue, and you could tell like, I'm just happy I'm in a Jurassic Park movie. I don't care. Yeah,
she's like, I gotta land a really corny joke right now, and I'm just smiling ear to ear because I'm playing with dinosaurs.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt.
That's the look she has in her. That's the look she has in her face in the scene.
That's how it felt too. She has a lot of fun. I think she does a very good job. I have zero problem with her.
I will tell you this: Scarlett in this like totally made me want to see her as a Tomb Raider, Lara Croft type role.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see her fitting the bill. The thing that cracked me up about this one is I didn't really like her as Black Widow until her Black Widow movie. All of her supporting roles. Right. She never really did much for me in the other franchise movies. But when she got her own Black Widow, I'm like, okay, she's great. Here, I think she really finds her footing quick. And
agree.
She settles in pretty well. And then you've got Jonathan Bailey, who's Dr. Henry Loomis. And what I find most interesting about him is he is the scientist who becomes an action hero. He's very much the Jeff Goldblum character from Lost World, essentially. And I think he is, if you saw Wicked, you know how charming this guy can be, right? He can turn it up to a megawatt in no time. He is extremely charming, very charismatic. And here I think he kind of dials it down a little bit and lets it unfold as the movie goes, and it gets bigger and bigger. And I think he really settles in as a nice character as well.
And I think he does a really great job because in this, I was afraid that all I was going to see was Fierro. And I never saw Fierro once. I was like, is that really Fierro? Because that looks like a totally different guy. So he did his job, which was amazing. Although his dialogue is even worse in a lot of places.
There's some... Yeah, there's some. I gotta tell you, some of the dialogue was just mind-boggling to me. I mean, honestly, you don't need to layer it this deep. Really, you don't. A pharmaceutical company hires mercenaries to go out and get a few samples. You don't have to dumb it all the way down to Jurassic Park 3, but you could dumb it. It's okay to dumb it down. I'm fine. The plot is not that smart. It's not that revolutionary, right? So the dialogue is what hurts it.
Yeah, it's really not that innovative either.
No. I think there's a lot of ways they could have done this, and I don't know if it's the best way.
This was literally like playing a Legend of Zelda game. Like, go get the three medallions and bring them back to a central place. That's the whole movie.
That is, yeah, that's kind of true. Then you've got Mahershala Ali as Duncan Kincaid. I just want to say, get that Blade movie going. The guy is ready and ripe and nothing but charm as well. And give him a freaking franchise already. He's great.
The sequence on the water was so great.
Oh man, so great. And he's probably the only one who has a backstory that works for me because he has some family drama and he becomes very immediately concerned about child safety, and you get why, and he plays it well.
And his actions throughout the course of the movie are based on that past trauma. Mm-hmm. So when he's making decisions, there's reasons why he's making those decisions. Where everybody else is just like, I'm writing decisions for these people to have because we have to keep the plot moving.
Yes, absolutely. And then you have Rupert Friend, who's Martin Krebs. He's the bad guy, but is he really? I mean, he's a pharmaceutical businessman. So probably yes, I guess, right off the bat, you're immediately like, ah. But he
gets a little batty towards the end when he's got the gun, but and he's got that one moment on the boat.
He does. As you go, he definitely becomes more selfish. And it's about self-preservation. But I would also say, like, people are turning on him to a degree. You know what I mean? Like, come on. They came there with a plan. Now you're changing the plan. I didn't agree to this change of the plan. We'll talk about it. Then you have this other collection of characters that kind of come into the movie. And that's Manuel Garcia Rulfo. I hope I said that right. But he's the Lincoln lawyer, if you watch that on Netflix. He's a good actor. He plays Ruben Delgado. And he is the father of a young girl, basically Lilo's age. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, one young girl about Lilo's age, and then an older daughter who's basically Lilo's sister's age from Lilo and Stitch, just to give you some perspective, like their age range. And And also the older girl has brought along her boyfriend who he doesn't approve of. And it's kind of, this back and forth relationship. Look, I think they add some humanity to the movie, but I also think this was completely ridiculous, number one, because they're so close to where everyone says you cannot go, because this is a section on the equator that no one is legally allowed to travel. So if you're going to be on the water, I would think you would know very carefully avoid this. And they basically get thrust into the action. What did you think about this quartet of characters led by him?
I mean, that quartet of characters is the people part. That's actually like a good people part, because there's a whole section of like the kid is the youngest daughter is like traumatized, and then she like figures out a way to come out of her shell.
Mm-hmm.
You have the dad and the older daughter having this like spat about the boyfriend, who's basically a lazy bum who doesn't take his shifts on the boat. So like there's a lot of family dynamic stuff here, which I think would have been really cool to see, like them like have these be at odds. And I think if the story would have been just them and not ScarJo and Mahershala and everybody else and Jonathan Bailey, like if it wasn't all of those people, I think it actually would have been a cool movie, because it would have been like, we didn't mean to be here, we didn't intend to come here, but we're here. How do we get the hell out of here? And then they run into these people that are trying to do this like other thing, and then they all work together. Would have been a cooler thing than having them all meet up at the end. But I did like the family aspect of it. Parts of their journey is a little bit weird. We'll talk about that. But overall, I like the family dynamic of the four and what they had to go through in order to survive.
Okay, so that overall is a spoiler-free version. So if $10 is the full price of admission, what do you rate this one? I give it $6.50. I think
it's a solid 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's move into some spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, stop the podcast. Ready? Stop. That's it. That's all you get. Now, what?
Happy 4th.
Happy 4th.
To those in the States, if you still celebrate.
If you celebrate. If you're overseas, happy Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Whenever you listen to this, happy day. Or maybe they do the opposite of celebrate these days. For us on July 4th, they're like, damn it, I wish they wouldn't have.
They actually hold vigil and they say like, America's coming back at some point. Good luck, guys.
It's a little wild out there. It's a little wild west while we've been off. All right, So let me go back to the quartet. You wanted to talk about them, and I figured that's fresh in your mind. So what storyline did you want to
So like the family is on a cross-Atlantic trip. They've done this cross-Atlantic trip many times.
Mm-hmm.
So the question became, why were they so close to the equator and the no-go zone in the first place? Like they could have had like the storm and a storm come up and the storm knock them off course or something that would have at least pushed them into the no zone. That would have been better. But the fact that they were just floating along the no zone to begin with, like that part made no sense to me. The family itself, I thought the dynamics were really good. I thought the bum boyfriend actually had like character growth throughout the journey across the island. I actually really like the scene where he's like looking out at the island and he's like, yeah, this is where I'm going to die. I thought that was like a cool monologue moment for him.
Mm-hmm.
The taking a leak scene and then the raptors like coming up on him. Like that was super tense.
Okay. Since you brought that one up, number one, when he's first doing it and they're coming up, I'm like, oh my God, this is again, so cheesy, but I really like that because here's why I think I love that scene, actually, in hindsight. The whole movie, there's a couple characters are going to pop up, right? You're going to get Velociraptor, and you're going to get Tyrannosaurus Rex. God, help me. Thank you.
T-Rex.
T-Rex is so much easier to say.
And you don't know if it's a T-Rex or an Indominus Rex or whatever else.
Sure.
Because the whole point of this thing is that this island that they're on specifically is because they've genetically modified the dinosaurs into abominations.
Right.
So you don't know if you're going to run into an abomination or a real one.
Got it. Well, my point is, the Velociraptors are coming up. So you're expecting this whole long scene about Velociraptors, which I think we've seen in every damn Jurassic Park or World movie. You have these Velociraptors, and then immediately they are basically one's eaten and thrashed around, the other one scatters away. And that's really the gist of the Velociraptor action. So we didn't get much of Velociraptor. We got other dinosaurs, which I freaking love because I was sick to death of Velociraptors. That's what I was trying to say.
And the thing is that you didn't know if those were original Velociraptors or the adjusted Velociraptors, because you see the adjusted Velociraptors in the opening in the lab, in the tanks originally. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's I got a list here of, let's see. Here we go. Don't quote me on this pronunciation, right? But Aqualops is a debut. Anagathorus, Anagathis is a debut. Distortus Rex, Mutodon, Titanosaurus. There's a skeleton of a megalodon. Meg. Remember Meg?
Yep.
Corpse of a Parasaurolophus. Triceratops is seen in a tank, and then some unnamed ornithopod is in a tank as well. So there's some new dinosaurs in here. Now, we had is it the Titanosaurus Rex? Is the big bad Mumbo Jumbo?
Yeah, in the river scene.
No. Isn't that
the giant brontosaurus looking one in the field?
That's the main one.
Get the DNA
that's
from.
The main
that's
bad
the main one.
The main bad one, I think, right?
Oh no, the main bad one at the end. That's the D-Rex.
D-Rex, sorry. Okay.
D-Rex, yeah. Disaster Rex.
So,
as I like to call him, because he looked like a disaster.
Distortus Rex, I think is what they call it.
Distortus Rex, yeah.
Okay. The design, did you ever play Gears of War?
Long time ago.
It looks like the Berserker. It's like a monster in that game. Or, I think...
I said it was a xenomorph and a T-Rex mated.
Yeah, that too. Or, I guess I saw someone, I think Nate Bruce in our group, he mentioned the Rancor from Return of the Jedi, a little bit of that in there
Very
too.
similar, yeah. The Rancor is a great example.
Yeah. No matter what, it's a terrible design. Terrible. I think it looks terrible. I don't like it at all. I see
it coming up at me and I'm laughing at it, not like running away.
Yeah, I just want to point at it. I'm like, oh, your mom thinks you're so ugly. I just want to be like a mean kid in school. This is not, I didn't like the design. I just didn't.
You're like, hey, Quasimodo, what you doing over there?
Where are you going with that hunchback? Did it work for you though? Did it work for you?
It was scary, but it wasn't like, ooh, scary. Like T-Rex just shows up on it. Like the Velociraptors are scary because you don't know like what's going to happen. Is it coming from the left? Is it coming from the right? Right. T-Rex is scary because does he see you? Does he not see you? Mm-hmm. Like, can you move to the left? Can you move to the right? Like, are you running zigzag? You're running straight line?
It's motion. Yeah.
Yeah.
T-Rex
so it's like
motion.
This thing. It was like, can you even see out of those eyes? Because your bump on your head is in the way. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. He's running into the ugly tree, hitting every branch. Yeah.
Every branch.
Thank God. And he sees color, right? Is that the thing that they were saying? He sees color. That's what, at least at the end. And Mahershala Ali, by the way, how does he survive? That's a dumb plot point. Because how does he survive? He's all like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Predator back there in the mud. The guy is the freaking dinosaurs right in his face. He's all D-Rexing on his face. And then all of a sudden, he doesn't throw the flare like a smart person would do. If something follows color, throw the big colorful thing. Seems sensible. And and somehow he gets away.
Or instead of him throwing the flare, he dropped the flare and he ducked out of the way underwater or something.
Yeah, it should have worked the opposite of how it worked with Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park. In Jurassic Park, Jeff Goldblum does the flare to catch his attention, does the exact same. There's a lot of homage to Jurassic Park in here. Does the same thing with the flare, right? But when he throws it away, the T-Rex keeps following him because the T-Rex is following motion. That would have been a nice little, look, this is going to be the opposite of Jurassic Park. He throws it and the monster goes away so he can escape. That would have been a cool, instead, we don't even see it and it makes no sense how he gets away.
And then he just happens to have an extra flare that's not like ruined from the water.
Lots of spares. Had them all bunched up, just waiting to be flared off.
And then in that sequence, like he's floating in the water and I'm just like, hey, here I am. Hey. And the whole time I'm like, where's the thing that's going to eat him from underneath? Where's the thing that's going to eat him from underneath? Yeah. Where's the thing that's going to, that part makes the movie cool because I was worried that he was going to get eaten from underneath at the last second.
Okay.
Like so he got away just to die again.
That part that annoyed me, how he got away. It was just dumb, but I'm glad he lived because here's what I thought. I thought this will be a really cool setup for a sequel is what I thought they were going to do, because you could easily do the next one is she gets a call from him somehow that he's on the island still alive and he's asking her to come get him. Bam.
That's where I thought it was going.
You got another movie. You just wasted your opportunity for another movie. Why wouldn't you do that? And then he makes some discovery on the island or something while he's trying to survive and living off dinosaur flesh.
Eating everything in the convenience store as food.
He may be. What a waste of time. The other scene that I thought was dumb. I'm just telling you the dumb ones, and I'll tell you the awesome ones here in a second. So the scene with the raft, right, where the whole family's going to get this raft. And I get they want the raft so they can hit the waterway, get out of there, or whatever. Why does she do everything you shouldn't do with this frickin' raft? She makes all the noise she can. And then they have actually a very cool scene where they inflate the raft, and when it inflates, the T-Rex is gone. I can't believe something that big could move that fast. Apparently it's a ninja T-Rex, whatever. But then the T-Rex is over there drinking water, and they're moving as fast as they can, as if they've never seen any dinosaur thing or information packet or movie or TV show in their entire lives. Like, they do nothing to stand still. Do something. Nobody is smart enough to stay alive on this freaking island. And then the fact that they are like trying to paddle away, and they think that they can actually outrun a T-Rex who has no problem closing in on, by the way. Like, I just thought some of the setup of that scene was freaking stupid. Am I wrong or am I right?
No, with the way that the T-Rex works, that it was the whole thing. It was all about, let's be quiet. Let's be stealth. It's like, no, T-Rex senses movement. It doesn't sense audio. I mean, it does sense audio, but once it hears the audio, it's going to look for movement, and then you're screwed.
And nobody stands still at that moment. Nobody. Not even the raft. Like, you should have seen the raft pop open and attack the raft immediately. But instead he's like, oh, I rolled over and I'm thirsty. Now, that said, the rest of that scene was actually pretty tense. I will say. It was a little ridiculous. I mean, it felt like there were definitely some moments where I'm like, okay, you should not be alive. There's just no way that this thing, he didn't eat you. But it was still pretty tense. I like the scene on the raft and the waterway. That was pretty tense. But then
they're in the river and they're paddling away, and the T-Rex is chasing them. And you're like, okay, the river's not that deep. Oh, okay, the river's getting deeper. He's going to have to stop because he can't swim. And then all of a sudden, the fucking T-Rex becomes an alligator.
Yep.
And I was like, what is going on? Like, I know there's evidence that the T-Rex was likely capable of swimming, but it's not like deep diving or extended periods in the water. Like, he can't just pop up on the other end and like roar, like he did in the actual shot. He's got to get back up on land or something. Yeah. So I was just like, but because then you get to the end and now we got Disaster Rex, right, sitting there, and it's the same thing. They're in the boat, they're getting away, he's running after him, he's in the water, and then the Disaster Rex can't swim all of a sudden.
I think it's Distortus Rex. I don't think it's Disaster Rex. I think it's Distortus.
The whole thing with the whole design was a disaster. That's why I keep going there. God. Distortus Rex. He gets to the edge of the pier and he doesn't swim. And it's like, we had one Rex swim. Why isn't this Rex able to swim?
Yeah,
that made no sense.
It didn't make any sense. It didn't. And I love that they're at the end of that scene, the family are they're like two of them on each side of that split, the rock split. And if you look, it didn't go up that high. I'm like, why couldn't he just lean over and snatch somebody that way? God, this T-Rex is stupid. Doesn't deserve to eat.
He's running. He's like, ooh, there's this little tiny spot between two boulders. Let me stick my face in there.
Yeah.
Instead of just reaching over and making it easy on yourself.
Chomp, chomp, chomp. Oh, my gums are so swollen now. Well, the other two scenes that I did love, the homage to Jaws, where they're on the boat and they're getting the shot. I thought that was great.
So great.
I don't know how the hell she actually caught that he caught that sample on the boat.
It's the same way a Falcon Heavy rocket comes down and lands back on the pad in the middle of the ocean. It's Elon Musk technology.
It is, sure. Yeah, it's that good.
SpaceX.
But it was very tense. I thought that was a great set piece. Like, I really thought that was a really
the boat's rocking. It's tense. Getting hit by the dinosaurs. Everybody else on the boat is falling off the boat or trying to hang on from falling off the boat while the things are snapping at them. And Mahershala Ali's up there going like, bumper cars, bitch, yeah.
And it's very Jaws-like. Very, very Jaws-like.
Very Jaws-like.
And then it leads to them getting, basically shipwrecked and that whole scene. That scene was fantastic, too.
Yeah, come through the shallows.
Oh, man.
It was so good.
That was so good. There's so much tension there, and I like how they were basically just going after that boat, the dinosaurs were, and I thought that was wonderful.
But then you got the stupid writing part of that, where it's like, yeah, I bet you can't come in shallow water. It's like, oh, but your buddies can. We got to get out of here.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible. Let me segue to my favorite set piece of the whole movie. That ends kind of dumb, but everybody freaking gets to the same spot, completely safe. Guy falls off a cliff and lands in a pool, or a pond, I should say. Not really a pool. It's a pond. Very small.
And he fell a significant distance.
Hundreds of feet. Hundreds of feet.
And hit every palm branch on the way down to slow his body before he lands in a pool of water that was strategically placed right there.
It's
deep enough that he didn't kill himself.
Crazy. It's worse, and I love Temple of Doom, but it's worse than them jumping out of a plane in a raft and surviving all of that. No problem. Like, it's more ridiculous than that. But maybe it was a nod to that. I don't know. There's a raft in here.
But there's two. But that's not even the best part. So ridiculous enough that he falls from hundreds of feet, hits every branch on the way down and into a pool of water. Then the second ridiculous part of all of that, they didn't have to scale the freaking thing anyway, because there's apparently stairs that go all the way from the top all the way to the bottom.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
That they just would have looked around a little bit for 2 seconds, they would have found. And then even worse than that, after they tag the dinosaur, the flying dinosaur, they actually have to get it from the egg, not from the actual living dinosaur, but from the embryo of the egg. Once they get the serum, right, the parachute manages to fall the exact same way that he fell, but doesn't hit any branches, doesn't get scratched. The parachute's perfectly fine, and just happens to land right on the beach next to him.
Doesn't get hung up in a tree. Nothing.
No, nothing.
No, and what this scene...
But everything right before that is fantastic.
Yeah, well, hang on. Well, what this scene taught me is that these mercenaries are not very good. They do zero reconnaissance. They did no looking around like you talked about. The stairs were literally right to the right of them. It wouldn't have even been that far of a look to find them, and they were right there. But yeah, the rest of that scene, one of my favorite scenes in all of the Jurassic movies. I absolutely loved that whole scaling down the wall. I thought Henry Loomis learned to scale a wall pretty quick, or rock climb pretty quick. But I think he alluded to he had done it in a gym before or something like that, so he had an idea. But once they're down in the bird's nest and they're getting the egg and then they're being attacked and there's a lot of pecking, I thought that was fantastic. What did you love about it?
I like the banter, the back and forth, I'll do your belay and all that fun stuff. That dialogue there I thought was really like part of the team now. So now we're going to razz you a little bit. That was a lot of fun. When they get down into the ruins with the bird's nest, just them looking around, and it's kind of got that archaeological feel to it all of a sudden. And then the ridiculousness of the vials, like, oh, the vial's over here. No, the vial's over here. And then they're trying to like save the vial. But the thing that was the coolest part was one of the team members, as he's climbing back up to get away from we'll call it a pterodactyl. I forget what the actual bird's name was, but basically it's a giant pterodactyl.
Yeah. I think it's like Quetzalcoatlus or something like that. I think it was in Dominion. Right? It was it's because it's a carnivore the size of an F-16. I think it was the same one from Dominion.
Anyway, he's climbing up to try to get away, and the bird is literally scaling the cliff next to him, going chomp, 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 chomp. Right? And it's like, and he's got the rope in his mouth. So I'm like, okay, at any point he's going to yank the rope and the guy's going to go flying, or he's going to untie all the ropes because they're all tied together. So just waiting for that to happen the entire time. And then as it goes to the top of the cliff where Mahershala Ali is, his character just trying to hold on to the ropes and keep everybody safe. Then all of a sudden all you just see is the dinosaur bird just emerge with its beak and the guy inside the beak. And you're like, that's so awesome.
It was so well done. It was so tense. And that's what it should have been the whole movie.
And then the best part of the movie is when he like opens his mouth and chomps him once, opens his mouth, and he's in the throat, and then you see the guy slide down the pterodactyl's throat. It was like, yeah, that's so cool.
And the bird just comes up with him in his mouth, like, got him, he's mine. Nom 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 nom.
And then the bird dinosaur goes after the other two, and they're like, hey, no, come in this little stairwell, and we're gonna be safe. And you're just like, and it's done enough good in the movie to say there's going to be something in the staircase. There's going to be something in the staircase that's going to get them. Like, don't go in the staircase. Like,
no, but instead it's just a staircase.
It's just a staircase.
It's an easy way for them to get to the bottom.
It's an easy way for them to also get to the nest, because I'm sure it went right by the nest on the way down.
Oh, I'm sure it did. Yeah, I'm sure it did.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where you take a scene and you actually have a fantastic scene up until that point. And then as soon as he falls, it gets stupid. And that's the, and don't get me wrong, I don't care. It's a dinosaur movie. I'll be fine with it. But when you're having so much tension, that does take you out of it. Like, completely drops you out of it. Like, oh, come on. It was so realistic, and I mean, for a dinosaur movie, so realistic and tense and taut, if you will. And then it just kind of went to, okay, well, now we got cheesy. Now we're back in Return of the Jedi territory with the cheesiness. So, Yeah, but
That was also the worst green screen effect in the entire movie.
What was
when they come to the cliff on the first time they come to the cliff, and it's kind of like that really high overhead shot.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
ScarJo kind of approaches the edge, and you're kind of like, yeah, that looks a little janky.
Looked like a matte painting.
Yeah,
almost.
And then it comes back down closer to where she is, and once you get her in the frame more, then it's like, okay, it's still a green screen, but it's better looking. You know.
Mm-hmm. Hey, so you alluded to them earlier, the Mutodons, which are it's like a combo platter. It's a pterosaur and a raptor hybrid. So it's a raptor that can fly. It's a flying raptor, right?
That's flying raptor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think about that? Like making raptors. Now, don't get me wrong. I meant it when I said earlier, I'm sick of raptor attacks, but that's because they're all the same. This is what's different. This one can fly. It made it something different, something unique. I like that. Did you feel the same way?
Well, I think this is the part of where the title being Jurassic World makes sense versus Jurassic Park. Because I look at Jurassic Park and I go, Jurassic Park was about the science, right? Bringing the dinosaurs back to life.
World is
right?
about entertainment and playing with it, basically.
Right.
Playing with your food.
Jurassic World was, we have the entertainment. Now, how do we make the entertainment experience even better? So it's more about the theme park and the bringing them back to the mainland, incorporating them back into society. So this mutant lab that they're currently working on this island, right, is trying to make different dinosaurs for the park perspective. So from that perspective, it makes sense that it was Jurassic World because they're making things that people haven't seen before to keep the entertainment, the next big, roller coaster ride at the amusement park.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, because of it, it's also about the science. And then because collecting the samples of the three biggest ones is about the science, I feel like Jurassic Park would have been the better name over the world title.
Hey, tell me this. I didn't understand this, and maybe I missed something. Okay. So when they get to, they're in the final act and they're trying to signal a helicopter and all that, which was a very cool scene. I mean, you kind of know the helicopter's not going to make it at one point, but my God, they went out spectacularly. Well, as they get in that general area, the lights come on, Stand By Me starts playing, all that, which is definitely a big old like, hey guys, come on, check out the park. We're open. Lots of people here.
More importantly, where they use the line from where like, and the night has come.
Yeah.
And land is dark.
Very, very cheesy again. But
super cheesy, but it was like I laughed.
It was funny.
Entire time.
It was funny.
Such a great line to use.
But what triggered it? Was it emotion activated?
Timer. It was just timer. The sun had gone down, so the lights turned on.
So it was automatic.
The geothermic.
Okay.
Because remember the geothermic like kicked up, and they were like, "What is it? What's that noise?" And they were like, "Oh, the geotherm generator kicked in." So it's probably just on a timer.
Got it. Because I had to take a little pee break real quick. That 75-ounce soda started working its way.
For sure.
So I missed how the lights came on. I'm like, was there a switch somewhere? Did I miss a light switch? I don't recall a light switch. It seems stupid to turn all the lights on when you're trying to avoid all these dinosaurs. But okay, now I know.
Which of course then immediately attracts all the dinosaurs to be like, hey, there's noise, there's activity.
So every night this happens, basically.
Right.
Every night
People
they
show up.
run over there and they're like, man, once again, no food. This sucks. Okay, so what did you think of this final set piece? So you have basically the alien scene where they're in the ducks, which is I thought that was kind of cool. And you get the Mutodons
That's kind of cool.
Go down there. I thought that was pretty tense. You have Scarlett going under the truck. You have the idiot finding a gun randomly and deciding he's going to be tough. There's a lot of cool
kid goes through the gate because she's the only one that can fit through the bars. But then she has to lift the really heavy lever in order to open the gate on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of that writing is good there. I mean, it's good action. It's good intensity.
We eat our pharmaceutical exec. He gets chopped. So that's good. What did you think of this final piece?
It was good.
Okay.
Distorted Rex was a little weird, but the helicopter and Distorted Rex's mouth coming out of the fog, like that was so cool.
Great shot. That was a great
shot.
Would have been a better shot if it looked like a cool dinosaur instead of this ugly bitch, but Yeah, imagine that in like the original Jurassic Park and it was in T-Rex's mouth. Like it would have been like, damn, that's amazing.
That
would have been badass.
Yeah.
I there's a couple, I think there's another scene like that too, and I'm trying to remember which one it was. There's another one where it just emerged from the smoke and whatnot with something in its mouth.
So we haven't talked about that one. It's the second dinosaur that they had to go get, which was like a giant Brontosaurus. which had these like really long tails, and they're going through this like really tall grassy field, and they're like laying in the grass, but so you can't see them. And then all of a sudden these like wispy tails start coming out of the grass, and you're just like, holy shit, snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? And then you're like, oh, they're not snakes, they're tails. And then you get to see this really cool moment of the brontosauruses coming up next to each other and just doing like this, little necking going on. And one of them gets a little bit excited, and his little spiky, the hairs and fins on the back of his neck stand up. And you're like, ooh, they're like having a mating thing happening here. And they're actually standing there witnessing it as they get the sample. And he's like feeling his leg, and he feels like the hairs like pop out from the smooth skin and everything. And like, it was a really cool scene. And then it like pans out and you see the whole valley of them with the Jurassic Park music playing.
That was cool.
And I know we just talked about like, what's that one moment that you want to go back and relive? And it was the Brontosaurus Welcome to Jurassic Park moment, right? For me, I felt like I got to witness that again in that scene. Like, it was so cool. So cool.
And as soon as you get into the tall grass, the first thing you think is, well, this is going to be a very tense murder scene. Someone's getting eaten, right?
Especially when they prefaced it. They were like, yeah, we're finding this dinosaur. However, all the other dinosaurs hunt this thing. And you're like, okay, shit, where's the herd coming that's going to bite them all up? And then it never showed up.
And that, if you really think back on the first Jurassic Park, that scene you're talking about, where they first get the glimpse of the scope of the park and what's in there, it's got to be a top 10, top 20 movie moment, right? Gotta be.
Of all time.
Yep. That's just, and this does come close to that. And probably for a whole different generation that don't know those original movies very much, other than watching them with their parents when they were kids or something. I mean, that might be a big, they might get their moment with this. You know, maybe that's what it will be for them, or for some young kids. They finally get to see dinosaurs come to life. I
mean, you felt like, I'm going to call him Fierro. You felt like Fierro felt when he's touching his leg, right? Like Jonathan Bailey, when Dr. Loomis is sitting there holding his leg, and he's just like, I can't believe I'm actually standing next to a dinosaur. Like, and then he just does that. Yes. It's like, oh man, that's exactly how I felt that entire scene. I felt like I was right there.
And speaking of that, I think that's one thing that the story actually does very well, which is, you know, when you're trying to find a way into another Jurassic Park or World or whatever movie, you know, I think it's important to pay attention to where we are in the world. And they really start with, hey, the world is done with dinosaurs. They're not entertained by them anymore. It's just like anything else. Yeah, we used to have a park where you could go see them. We have zoos. People don't get excited about zoos anymore. I mean, it's just like, okay, I've seen monkeys.
The dinosaurs aren't excited about it either, because it opens up with the Brontosaurus escaping the zoo and wanting to go back home.
Yeah. So you see what I'm saying? Like, but it's a nice nod to like real world where people get bored and move on, and they want more exciting, dangerous entertainment. And they want something else. They've already done this. They're not going to museums anymore. They don't care. They've moved on. They don't care anymore. I thought
Which is actually
a touch.
It's a realistic comparison to theme parks today, because the coaster wars back in like the mid 90s, early 2000s, like it was how many coasters can we build? What's the next biggest one? And the number of new roller coasters today at theme parks has dropped off significantly from early 2000 because people just aren't like, unless you're going to ride the 600 footer in Saudi Arabia, like what else is there to ride? I've done it all. 200, 300, 400, been there, done that. What's next?
It's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point. So it's definitely touching on the theme park and our attention span, which we don't have anymore.
Yeah. So there's definitely a message type to the movie as well.
Sure.
And that opening sequence, right? Not the opening sequence, but like when you meet the real characters for the first time, and he's in the traffic jam and he looks in the side view mirror, and it's like the objects in the rear view mirror are closer than they appear. I laughed out loud in the theater. It was hard. I didn't want to like cackle, but I like cackled.
Must go faster. Must go faster. I also appreciated Scarlett Johansson's kind of growth throughout the movie. It wasn't one of those things where she just said, you know, I don't want the money. Let's save the world. It wasn't one of those things. Like, she's all about the money. She's all about the money. And then he doesn't save that girl. And I think that's where she starts saying, okay, screw these guys. Screw all of them. Like, you know, she could tell that this guy didn't do anything to help that teenage girl when she fell off the boat. And then later it's confirmed. And I think she's just done. And that's when she goes to Billy and say, all right, how do we get to the whole 90, the other 99%? You know, What do we do? Let's do
So,
that.
so let's talk about this.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about this. Let's get deep.
Because the whole point is that they're trying to collect blood and embryonic fluid and plasma and get 3 different vials from the 3 different dinosaurs, mix it all together, you get the miracle drug, right? That's the whole thing that they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Dr. Loomis, he's just like, well, we could open source it. And I'm like, it's not source code. It's not computer programming where anybody can pick up Java and be like, here, let me add my flair to it. You still need centrifuges. You still need a lab. You still need to like microscopes. And what do you mean open source it? You're going to give like a little dollop to every university across the United States and the world?
Well, you could probably sequence it, right? I mean, mRNA, you could sequence it.
Sure. Like, I don't know. It was just weird. It was like, let's open source it and give it to the people. I'm like, when did you become a computer dude? I thought you were an anthropologist.
Well, I would say like mRNA like does genetic info from.
But then you could say
DNA
like, we could turn it into mRNA. So the people that are watching the movie are like, oh, that's how they're going to get it to open source. But he's just like, let's just open source it. I'm like, okay.
We're trying to make sense. Calm down, Luigi. All right. It was one of those where I don't care what the plot was. I mean, it matters. It was like a means to an end. It was a way to get them to the island.
The 3 medallions to get to the center temple in order to get on the helicopter to go home.
It really is. You think about it. What a dumb plot. So overall, that's Jurassic. Is there anything else you want to talk about from the movie?
The problem is I don't know how you do any more. Like, what is the thing you could do next?
You could have left him on the island and we got a reason to go back. Could have done that.
Yeah, exactly. That's like, at this point, I'm like, there's no we have what we need to make whatever drugs we want to make now. Like, what are you going to go chase after next?
They're going to drop a sample. They got to go back and get that sample. That's what they're going to do.
I mean, unless you want to, I don't want to say it out loud because I should pitch it and actually get money for it.
Good luck with that.
But what they should do is like, they go to, it's like Planet of the Apes. They go synthesize this drug because they open sourced it and it actually becomes a virus. And then
they have to go back for a cure.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, they unleashed hell upon earth. See, should have just gave it to the top 1%, dumbasses.
And then the Rebirth title would make sense because they basically rebirth dinosaurs because now humans have dinosaur DNA growing inside of them.
Okay, I might be going a little too far, but I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. It's kind of like the rage virus, right? From 28 days later. Yeah. Okay, I can get behind that. But I'm serious. I was actually irritated at the end. I'm like, there goes your sequel.
So irritated.
There goes your sequel. That was dumb. You could have easily had a stinger after the credits that was a radio transmission where you just hear him going, Zora, or something like that. Boom. End of credits. People would have went, Roar!
Nuts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nuts.
Absolutely. Waste of time there. And a waste of chances. Waste of opportunities. But overall,
even
it.
Better yet, it gets to the end of the credits. And as the credits come up, like just a little red flare, and you just see his eyes.
Oh,
says, Zora.
No matter what, do it as a stinger.
Because remember, there was the whole thing he said in the movie. He's like something about like he never wanted to die in the jungle, right? And now he's stuck in the jungle. Like his worst fear has now come to be. But no, they saved him.
Yep, they should have held that. And you could have edited this so it didn't. He didn't get out of there. Or something. They could have reshot that for the end and done that way. So they set up a trilogy that way.
I really hope anybody that saw it and gave that feedback so they change it before it actually comes out.
I don't think so. I think that's the ending, man. I think they're locked. But yeah, that's Jurassic World Rebirth. I don't really have anything more to add to that. I hope you guys have enjoyed this little spoiler cast, which we haven't done a full one dedicated to a movie like this in a while. So it's always fun to do.
And you should be excited because we weren't going to do an episode today.
No, we only did it because we love dinosaurs. Rawr. Love them.
And apparently you love us because we talked for an hour.
And you're still here. Thank you for that. And I will say, unlike Gareth Edwards' Godzilla, which took, an hour before you saw a freaking dinosaur? Before you saw Godzilla? At least we got we saw a lot of Godzillas here. A lot of dinosaurs. A lot of attacks.
And there was a Godzilla trailer before the movie started.
Oh, that's right. Shin. Is it Shin Godzilla?
Yeah, Shin.
It's coming back for like a 4K release or something like that. That's pretty cool. Well, good. I hope everybody is excited. Be sure to check. I think it's worth seeing in the theater, even though the dialogue is clunky and some of the family dynamics are.
See it in a theater. See it in the ultra screen, the Atmos, the IMAX, the 4DX. The 4DX could be a cool experience for this one.
Oh, I saw Dominion in 4DX, and I wanted to throw up. So I don't know. There's so many like movements and attacks and things like that. Just be mindful. That's all. Just be mindful.
I thought about the How to Train Your Dragon in 4DX, and I was like, I don't know if my stomach can handle it.
That's a good movie too. And Lilo and Stitch is getting a second movie, so they're getting a sequel there. They're already moving forward on that, so they got that news.
You know what won't be stake around much longer is Pixar. They tanked.
Elio is Gonio. Yeah, it didn't do too well.
Did somebody call that? I think somebody called that because it wasn't on Father's Day weekend.
You did. And we're never going to hear the goddamn end of it.
Got that damn right.
That's going to be the end of this podcast, though. So thanks, everybody, for listening. Head out to the theater. See Jurassic World Rebirth. It's worth it if you like dino action. If you care more about story and your dinosaur movie, you're going to hate it. But if you're okay with just dinosaurs like causing a ruckus, you're going to have fun. So
keep your toes up off the floor.
All right. Take care. And remember, next time you head into the theater to see Jurassic World Rebirth, buy popcorn.